Number 19 is a great example of how the more you practice, the better you'll get at predicting what the question is asking. So at first glance, I look at this and I just say, oh, well, obviously choice D is really, really short because it's deleting these words, and generally keeping it short is a good idea. So this is really probably about whatever the most concise choice is, which means I should probably pick D. That's fine. That's logical reasoning. But the more I practice, the more I'm like, well, there might be other things to think about here. Because even though this choice or this question does not include punctuation in the choices, it is kind of testing punctuation. Because if we look here, right before this part is a comma. And that scares me a little bit because commas have to do with sentence structure, and maybe deleting this is going to cause some problem with the structure. So now I'm thinking maybe I'll pick the shortest choice, but I've got to make sure that the sentence is structured in a good way, where there's no run-ons, no fragments, no problems. So let's take a look. Enter committee member John Burland. That's a sentence. It's a weird sentence, but someone is doing an action. He is a geotechnical engineer from England who saved London's clock tower, Big Ben, from collapse. These two things, the green and the blue, are separate sentences that could stand alone. So what we've got right now is a run-on. These two sentences cannot be joined with just a comma. We need something else. We need a conjunction, we need a semicolon, we need a period, we need something that can do a better job of joining these two sentences. But notice, we don't have those options. So what are we to do? Well, A and B basically have the same problem. He is making this a sentence. The he is what makes this thing kind of like a sentence, this blue piece. Burland is who he is. So by just saying Burland, we haven't fixed the problem. We've made a clarification maybe, but grammatically, this is still a sentence and still a run-on. So these two choices are a big problem structurally. They're no different. Choice C is just weird. We've seen this on another question, I think number 3, the combined sentences question. We were talking about the word being, and it's generally a word that we want to avoid on the SAT writing section. It usually just causes problems. It's hard to explain why, but it usually makes things longer than it needs to be. And I think if you read this, it would sound weird with that choice in there. So that leaves us with D, and I would still be paying attention to, well, am I fixing this run-on problem? Let's take a look. Enter committee member John Burland, a geotechnical engineer from England who saved London's clock tower, Big Ben, from collapse. Yes, we have fixed the run-on because we've taken that blue piece, and by deleting this part, we are turning what was a sentence into a description, a fragment, a piece of a sentence that we can just attach with a comma. So basically this whole blue thing, even though it's longer than the green, is no longer a sentence. It is just a description of who John Burland is, and it lets us kind of just flow into that next idea without the hard break of a new sentence that would require a period, a semicolon, something like that. So my instinct to just pick the shortest choice was correct. But I maybe got lucky that it was correct. And so I'd want to really think about punctuation to confirm, because a harder version of this question, my instinct might be wrong, and I might need to pick a longer choice that doesn't create run-ons or any problem like that. So just keep that in mind, file that away. There will be lots of questions like that on other practice tests. Like, it comes up where the shortest choice isn't always right because they try to hide something on us. There's some other thing going on that we've got to pay attention to.